M. Fletcher Brown with another artist video blog. My guest today, all the way from the great state of Texas. And if you know me, you know how much I love Texas. I've never lived there, but I had a lot of friends from there, and I've been there. I've been to Houston a whole bunch of times. I absolutely love Texas. I love country music from the Southwest. I've said often that some of the best country music I've heard in the last 20 years comes out of the Southwest. Please welcome, for the very first time at Kicks 96, Derryl Perry. How are you, Derryl?
Thank you so much. It's good to be here.
First thing I want to know is, what part of Texas are you from?
You know, you mentioned Houston. I grew up in Texas City, which is very near Houston.
Okay.
And right there by Galveston on the coast.
Oh, I've been to Galveston. Oh, Galveston's gorgeous.
But I lived in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Okay.
Before I moved to Nashville, and when I moved back from Nashville, and just found that the music that's going on in Texas is more what's going on with me, and that's why I went back to Texas. And I keep it pretty country. So.
Oh, yeah, you do. I will admit, this is like your 9th single in the country radio. And
yeah, something like that.
I kind of went back and looked through some of your catalog, and I was like, yeah, man. I mean, it's good. It's really good, solid, Texas country, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And you got a brand new single, 90sVille, which is kind of like a tribute, a salute to 90s sounding country. But we'll get to that. We want to learn a little bit more about Derryl Perry. So you say you live currently in the Dallas-Fort Worth area?
I do, in McKinney, Texas, just a little bit north of Dallas.
Okay.
And I live just like a mile from the historic square there, so I've got that old town feel that feeds that songwriter vibe, and then I got a bunch of freeways right around me that can get me out anywhere I need to go, any direction. So
now you play. Now Texas. What fascinates me about, if you know anything at all about red dirt, if you've heard the term, all right, is that Texas has its own chart. Right?
Yeah, oh yeah, we're doing very well in the Texas Regional Radio chart. Actually, more than one chart.
Oh, yeah,
we have the Texas Regional Radio chart. We got the CDX Texas chart, because CDX, of course, you're aware that has multiple charts, and there are some other country charts with varying amounts of reporting stations on them, and so we look at all of them because they all have some valuable exposure and information, and it's a business, and it's also an art.
But I love the fact though that Texas, as a community, as a state, as a community,
absolutely
kind of celebrates its own
identity.
Exactly, its own musical identity enough to have its own musical charts and its own musical family, community, and everything. And it's just fascinating to me. So,
and venues.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
Tons of venues.
I've been to the House of Blues there in Dallas. I actually went there when the ACM had their 50th anniversary. They did it in Dallas, and I went to see a show in the House of Blues there. Dallas is a wonderful town. It's fascinating, and I spent a lot of time in Houston here in the last year or so. And Texas, I think all around is just really, really cool. I haven't been to Austin yet, but that's on my bucket list.
Oh yeah, you need to go to Austin.
I got to go to Austin. If you're a music
I recorded 90sVille in Austin.
Really?
I've been doing my recording in Austin.
Oh, okay. So I was going to ask, so were you writing and recording in Nashville and just traveling back and forth, or are you doing it all? Because Texas, like I said, Texas as an entire state, it might as well just be Nashville.
Most of my catalog was recorded, and I've got over 100 songs streaming online, so original songs. So most of my catalog was recorded in Nashville because I was living there, and obviously all the studios and great players and everything. But this last project, or this current project that I've been working on, has been recorded in Austin, and I just found a great little studio that's kind of old school, that it just felt like the right place, called King Electric Recording, and it's got a vibe very much of some of the vibe of this town, And the other beauty about Texas having its own musical identity is you don't have to be cookie cutter. You don't have to sound just like the next guy, which some places kind of like. I'm not going to name any names, but actually, you can sound like ZZ Top. You can sound like
Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yes, you can sound like Asleep at the Wheel. You can sound like Willie Nelson. You can sound like whatever you sound like.
Yeah.
You can represent it in Texas, So that to me, that's the beauty of that.
And that, I think it really comes through like in your music. Some of my favorite artists, from like George Strait to Cody Johnson to Charlie Crockett, like come out of the Southwest, right? So Derryl, talk to us a little bit about your experience growing up in and around that area, like say near Houston, and what brought you into music in the first place.
Well, I was working in the chemical refineries in the summers while I was going to college. I went to the University of Texas at Austin, And one of the guys that I worked with had a band, and I always wanted to learn how to play guitar. And it was always sports in high school, so I didn't have time for anything else. And then I came back from college after my freshman year, and I went and bought a guitar, and he had me over, and we were drinking whiskey and playing Merle Haggard songs till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and then going to work out at the chemical refineries. You know, if you've seen Urban Cowboy, John Travolta's part, that's what I was doing.
Really?
I was an insulator in a chemical refinery.
Wow.
Yeah, in the summers, putting myself through school. So it was wild and crazy, and we worked hard all day, and we danced all night. And you know, my first club I ever went to, my dad took me into was Gillies.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. The original.
Yeah, oh, I'm sure. Yeah. I've not been to Gillies, but it's one of those places that I want to stop in and see. I mean, that's really, really, really amazing. Just the idea of, you know, thinking back on like Urban Cowboy, I'm like, wow, you were that. Wow. I mean, and that's great.
There are guys today doing that. I mean, you know, it's still that's part of being in that chemical refinery. You grew up in that environment. You know,
it's almost, and I don't misunderstand what I say, but it's almost like the new cowboy story.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
exactly. Oh,
it
yeah.
really is. So, at what point then did you decide that you were going to pick up a guitar and follow a new dream that carried you to Nashville?
Well, I went to college, got a degree, went to work, construction management, civil engineering. I've got a degree in architectural engineering.
Okay.
And then I got a master's degree in business administration and finance. And I was the vice president of a civil engineering consulting firm. And something just made me want to pick the guitar up and start writing songs. And I did that. I made time after I got out of the MBA program and started writing songs, playing on weekends with bands in Dallas, Fort Worth. And finally, I just punted all of it and said, I'm just selling out and moving to Nashville. You know, it's one thing to say that you've got $300 to your name and you move to Nashville, but it's another thing to say you got a house, you got a really good job, you're a VP of a company, and you punt all that, and you go start from scratch. And that,
I mean, nobody who ever went to school to be a civil engineer had their parents tell them, but son, I hope that, you know, you'll pick up that guitar so you have something to fall back on.
yeah.
I don't think anybody's parents have ever said that. Yeah.
Mine were supportive, believe it or not. Yeah, they were supportive. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's great. So
but we all knew that I could always come back and do that.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, you know, when you got that safety net, it makes it a little bit more palatable, you know. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's two ways to look at it. On one, you have nothing to lose. Mm-hmm. On the other one, at least, I never had a plan B. So I don't believe in plan Bs. But
I agree.
But if worse come to worse,
yep,
I could have came back.
Yeah, I think having a plan B can sometimes be more of an anchor than people realize. You know, not that, you know, you should just throw caution in the wind and everything, but I mean, calculated risk, but still, you know, yeah, put that plan B down. So you move to Nashville, you start writing and recording, and now we've got you up here to 90sVille. That is your current single to country radio. Mm-hmm. You've by this point in your career, you have shared the stage with just any number of big names in country music. I mean, and not even just Texas artists, but like, you know, not actual real, but like names just across the board country. You've played, I think, something like 2,800. Was it 2,800 or 3,800 dates?
I'm between 2,800 and 3,000 shows.
Oh my gosh, that's just so much touring and playing. But 90sVille is a song. First of all, it's got great tempo.
Let me tell you one thing that's cool. Since we're in the shows here, I've played with a number of artists, but probably one of the 2 or 3 coolest ones I ever did a show with was Greg Allman.
Really? Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I can believe that.
Yeah, it was amazing. Me and my bass player were like standing backstage, you know, watching their rhythm section. Those guys were just laying it down, and Greg was amazing. Yeah, we did a show together down in Biloxi.
Mm-hmm. Gosh, see, that's to have a career like that, to have stories like that, to be able to like share and actually like draw from in your work. And 90sVille is kind of a callback, a tribute to like that explosion of 90s. Because in the 90s, whether you realize it or not, in the 90s, country music was the #1 radio format in the, like, from the time I graduated high school till the time I graduated college.
Far and
It was
away.
like- it just blown everybody away. Country music exploded. And that 90s country sound is definitive. And so 90sVille is kind of your homage to that, right?
Exactly. It, huge influence on me, not only with the great artists that came out, but those artists were great writers as well. And they were competing against other great writers in Nashville to have cuts on their own albums. So that's why there's so much good music, so many good songs, great producers, great musicians, the pool to draw from, and they created a sound. You know, much like the guys around here created a sound in their day in the 60s and 70s. You know, it became that. It became that place. You know.
Yeah. All right. So, well, now the song itself, 90sVille. What can you tell somebody who hasn't heard the song yet? How would you describe it?
If you love 90s music, you're going to find something there that you love about it, because I mentioned 12 huge artists in it. I covertly slipped names of songs, not directly.
Yeah.
Some of them are indirectly kind of hinted at. And I think you'll dig it. It's good up tempo.
It's very up tempo, and in the spirit of it, I think is kind of in the same place as like a classic like Lukenbach, Texas. You know,
Definitely, yeah.
That's kind of the spirit. Even though that song's kind of about a relationship, but it's also a tribute to great classic country music singers and songwriters. Yours is too.
And a couple of greats, Willie and Waylon.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So Derryl Perry is our guest. If they want to find you on the internet and learn more about you and hear some of the, because I'm serious, he's got great songs. You need to go listen to him. Where do they look?
DerrylPerry.com is the first place. That's my website, and that's spelled DerrylPerry.com. And all of my social media is whatever the social media is /Derryl Perry. And we're on all the platforms, as well as streaming. I have over 100 songs out of my catalog streaming. And we would love for you to subscribe to YouTube. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Music, whatever your favorite, Amazon. Everybody has their own kind of favorite. So you can venture into our catalog and see what you like. And we love to have people kind of join us, you know.
Absolutely. And if you want to hear 90sVille on Kicks 96, we'll be happy to play it for you. Call us on the request line and we'll drop it in for you. Derryl, thanks for coming by and visiting. Thanks for coming by and visiting, man. And next time you're in Nashville, you come down here and see us, you know, and maybe, you know, share some more music with us and talk more stories.
Absolutely, would love to. Thank you.
All right, we're going to get Derryl to play a song for us live here in the Kicks 96 studio. So look for that performance elsewhere here on our YouTube channel. And Derryl, thanks for being here. We'll see you next time on another artist video blog at kicks96country.com.
Where every water tower sings, touched by Joe Diffie's brushing charm.